Let's talk about gratitude and positive psychology interventions. Why gratitude matters for depression. So, depression creates a negativity filter. We notice, we remember, and we focus on negative experiences while discounting the positive ones. The gratitude practice, it actively trains the attention towards the positive. It strengthens the positive core beliefs. It increases your positive emotions and it improves relationships. It creates an upward spiral which is opposite of the depression downward spiral. Research also supports that gratitude exercises improved mood after 3 to 6 weeks. Its effects accumulated over time. The works across cultures and age groups were also done. It enhances effects of other CBT technique also. So the 3 domain gratitude journal, it's a weekly gratitude recording tool. The 3 domains are about the world or the life, things in the environment that you appreciate, circumstances that you value, opportunities that are available. About others, people that you're grateful for, kind acts by others, and relationships that you value. About yourself, your own qualities or your strength, things that you have done well, your own kind acts, and progress that you have made. Now, how do we implement it? Frequencies once per week. Overdoing can actually reduce effectiveness. Minimum duration is of 6 weeks. The benefits often emerge gradually. Amount the 3 to 5 things in depth, more powerful than a long list, and detailed descriptions. Not just my friend, but why, but how, right? So, okay, let us see this through an example. There is Louisa's gratitude journal. So, week 1 is about the world and the life, that I live in a safe neighborhood. I appreciate that my neighbors know me and wave when they see me. There is something comfortable about that recognition, like I belong. I enjoy watching the children play outside and hearing their laughter. It reminds me there is joy in the world even when I am feeling down. This is about the world, about the life. Now, about others. In week 1, I enjoyed walking with my dog. She's always excited when I get out her leash. No matter what kind of day I've had, that unconditional excitement and love really touches me. She cuddles with me on the couch and I find petting her incredibly soothing after a hard day. Now about myself, I took time to help my elderly neighbor trim his plants. He couldn't reach the highest ones. I value helping others and it genuinely made me feel good to do something kind without expecting anything in return. We had a nice chat while we worked together and I could see his mood lift. I feel good about being the kind of person who notices when others help. Now, you need to understand one thing over here, which is that details matter. My neighbor is nice. You don't have to write that. Yes, my neighbor waved hello and asked about my day, which made me feel connected to my community. Both the small and the large would count. There is sunshine on your face. Someone held the door, completed a difficult task, or a child's hug. Focus on what it means to you. What it means to you. Why does it matter? How does it make you feel? And what does it say about your life or the relationship or about your own self? So that's why this log is pretty much detailed. Now, expressing gratitude to others. There are 2 types of expression. One is general life gratitude. To anybody you can express, I'm so grateful for this beautiful weather. I appreciate having access to good health care. It creates positive conversations. Second is direct appreciation to a specific person. I want you to know how much I appreciate this, that, whatever. Letter or email, write an expression of thanks or verbal appreciation, right? So, Louisa's expressions here to the shop clerk: thank you so much for being patient and helping me find what I needed. Clerk seemed really pleased. Louisa felt good cheering someone up. To the former piano teacher: I still play piano 20 years later thanks to your patience and kindness. You gave me a gift that brings me joy weekly, and Louisa felt positive emotions writing it, imagined it brightened teacher's day. Then at lunch, I appreciate that we have such nice weather for our outdoor lunch, sparked positive conversation about weekend plans, and shifted the lunch mood. What are the clinical benefits of it? For the expressor, it extends gratitude experience, it strengthens the relationship bonds, the mood boosts from positive interaction, and it reinforces positive core beliefs. For the receiver, they feel validated and valued, mood becomes improved, strengthens the relationship, and for the relationship, there is increased closeness, there is more positive interaction, and there is an upward spiral in positivity. The acts of kindness. So, doing things for others improves our mood and strengthens the positive core beliefs. There are daily acts of kindness for 4 weeks. It increased happiness, improved relationship satisfaction, strengthened the sense of self-worth, and created positive community atmosphere. Now, what are the types of it? Small acts. You could hold the door for someone, let person ahead in line go, smile at a stranger, give genuine compliment, send encouraging text messages. Then there are medium acts. So medium acts are: you visit someone who's ill, you buy coffee for the friend, you help neighbor with the yard work, right? You volunteer your time. Then there are larger acts. You organize the community event, you regularly volunteer, you mentor someone, you donate to the cause that you care about. Now, let's look at Christine's post office experiment. There's a new post office. Everyone seemed unhappy, irritable, and complained about the wait time. So, Christine decided to bring in kindness. She smiled at people in line. She greeted the clerks warmly. She made pleasant conversations with others who were waiting, and she expressed appreciation to the staff. Week 1, people looked surprised and some responded positively. Week 3, postal clerks began greeting her warmly, and week 6, post office atmosphere transformed. It was friendly, good humor, and smiles. So, one person's kindness is contagious. Everyone can be changed through consistent kind acts, and acts of kindness help the giver as much as the receiver. It creates a positive cycle. Now, for Ben, he started with tiny acts, genuinely thanked Sylvie for something specific daily, complimented the co-worker on presentation, led someone ahead of him in grocery line, and sent encouraging text to friend going through hard time. He also helped neighbors carry groceries. So the effects was that he felt less worthless. He received positive responses that lifted his mood. His relationship strengthened and gave him a sense of purpose on the hard days. Now, combining gratitude and kindness with core belief work. It's a very powerful integration for negative core belief such as I'm worthless. Gratitude practice identifies, acts of kindness where you could activities that, qualities that I value in myself or things I do well or a positive impact on others. And these acts of kindness These provide behavioral evidence of our worth. So these provide behavioral evidence of our worth. Positive feedback from others. Sense of purpose and meaning. So, evidence accumulates for new core belief that I am worthwhile. I'm not worthless. Okay, so you could begin with a gratitude journal, all three domains that we discussed. Add expressing gratitude to others, add regular acts of kindness, and review the journal through the difficult times. Many patients you would see that make these practices lifelong habits. So, by far, we have discussed the CBT toolbox for depression. We have talked about thought records, activity scheduling, behavioral experiments, gratitude practice, acceptance, and core belief work. Now, bringing it all together for you. So, you can, assess your current state by asking yourself, what are you feeling right now? How intense is it? What triggered it? What are you thinking? What are you avoiding or doing? Right? So, after learning all these techniques, patients often ask, when do I use which tool? And the answer is that all of them at different times for different situations. So, the decision tree for choosing the techniques is as follows. The first is you assess the current state. The second is that you choose the primary intervention. If thoughts are the main problem, it's a thought record. Lots of negative automatic thoughts, lots of clear hot thoughts, lots of thoughts for feeling overwhelming, right? But if behavior is the main problem, you go with activity scheduling or an action plan, where a person is withdrawing from activities, laying in bed, avoiding things, not doing self-care. If the patterns are pretty deep, underlying assumptions or core beliefs is where you look at. Same themes keep repeating. Surface changes don't stick. Long standing patterns are there. If you can't change the situation, you need to accept it, like the past events, other people's choices, thinking outside the control, right? If you need evidence, then there are behavioral experiments. You test the assumptions, you build new behaviors, you strengthen new beliefs, right? If you want to build positive, then if you want to build positivity, then it is gratitude, acts of kindness. Mood is improving, but you want to maintain it. You want to prevent relapse. You want to increase the happiness, right? Now we are going to look at it through a last example, taking Ben into complete treatment. The presenting problem here is major depressive episode after friend's death and wife's cancer. The initial depression score is 42, which is severe. In phase 1, which is week 1 to 4, you're building the foundations here. The intervention is psychoeducation. Let them know about the 5-part model, depression cycle understanding, rationale of CBT. Then there is an activity record where you have tracked the activities for 1 week. You have identified that TV and bedtime gave no pleasure accomplishment. Brief gardening, talking with Sylvie gave most pleasure. Then there is activity scheduling. You added 2 to 3 activities per day. You focused on getting up, showering, short gardening, walking. And you also scheduled 1 phone call to a friend per week. The outcome is that now the score has reduced from 42 to 35. There is better energy, slightly more hopeful, but still many negative thoughts are hovering. In phase 2, the targeting thoughts or the interventions are the thought records. Complete. I won't enjoy anything anymore. We'll find evidence that he enjoyed gardening. I'm a burden to Sylvie. She said that she values his support. Nothing will ever be good again. It's too absolute. Evidence of some good moments are always there, right? Where there is evidence, there is systematically examined evidence for the negative predictions also. You would gather the evidence from the activity record that contradicted hopelessness. Then the alternative thoughts. You will develop balanced perspectives, right? You will link the alternative thoughts to the activity scheduling. So outcome of phase 2, score would come down to 23. Fewer negative automatic thoughts, more willing to engage in activities, and starting to enjoy some things again.